Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Higher or Lower, the show brought to you by Spreadex, Sporting Index and oddschecker as we look ahead to the weekend's football and say if we think the results of the spread betting markets will be higher or lower than the midpoint of them. I'm your host, George Ellick, delighted to be joined by Dan Worth.
Hey mate.
Jack Wright.
G'day.
Frustrating, I now hate football.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it?
So, yeah, don't know what I'm going to do about this.
Yeah, why is that?
Oxford, my team, lost to Stoke. Last night, 2-1. We're probably going to get relegated, and I'm done with it.
Okay.
So,
Right.
You guys carry on amongst yourselves. Two teams that aren't going to get relegated this season are Bristol City and Watford. They could even get promoted if they managed to put together a good run into the playoffs. And they play against each other live on Friday night on Sky Sports. Bristol City hosting Watford is the Friday night football, and the market we're going to look at with Spreadex is total goals. The goal line here is 2.4 to sell, 2.6 to buy, and that means that the midpoint is 2.5. So basically over and under 2.5. Higher here is obviously 3 or more goals, lower is 2 or fewer. 3, 2, 1. All in agreement, we all think it's going to be going higher. Jack, take us away.
Well, these two played in the FA Cup in January, didn't it? It was 5-1, so that's
done.
just going to be the same thing again, isn't it? Simple as that, really. Nothing's changed at Watford. Oh, yeah, it's Watford, isn't it? So something has changed. They've got a new head coach in charge. Very easy to read because he's had 3 games in charge, tied 1, won 1, lost 1. Exceeded twice in 2, scored twice in 2. So I think that we should see goals in the game. Yeah, I think there's been plenty of goals in Bristol City home games. Conceded 5 versus Derby, scored 5 versus Pompey, 4 goals last time out in that 2-2 draw with Wrexham. Couple of defensive issues as well, which I think could lead this one to be more of an open game. And I think also that where these two are positioned in the table, they've got to go for it. They've got to go for the win, especially in Watford's case on away at Bristol City. It'll be a big win against a rival. So I think that'll open the game up and we should see a line which is fairly low and attackable. I'm happy to attack it. So, yeah, higher for me.
Attackable?
It is attackable. Hopefully we see a lot of attacking in an attackable line. To be honest, I don't have too much to add. Like, Bristol City games at home have seen a lot of goals. Watford away games haven't yet, but as you said, things have changed on their 2-2 on their last away trip. Hopefully we get something similar here and this line lands easily. Yeah,
Bristol City went away to Blackburn at midweek. Blackburn, a team under Michael O'Neill, who are not very goalsy by the looks of things, been defensively sound all season, and that finished 2-1. All 3 goals came relatively early. Gerhard Struber is a manager who certainly likes his team to play on the front foot and to attack. They lost Anis Mehmeti, but still looking like a pretty good attacking force in their recent games. Ed Still, keep your head still, has come in at Watford and done okay to start with. Like they were beaten 2-1 by Ipswich in midweek, but were okay there. They beat Derby well. Away at Preston in his only away game so far, they drew 2-2. Loads of good attacking players, Chapatadze being one of them who's coming into some decent form now as well. So yeah, 2 good attacking sides. And also, I think crucially for this one, 2 sides who need wins to finish in the top 6. So that a point does nothing for either of these two. So it should be a game where both approach it with an attacking philosophy.
Indeed.
Wolves Villa now. A low-key game between two teams that don't like each other very much. But we are looking at supremacy here. Aston Villa over Wolves. 0.6 is the midpoint, 0.5 to sell, 0.7 to buy. So higher here is just a Villa win. Lower is Wolves or draw. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I knew I'd be on my own here.
That's because you hate football.
I don't know. There's something about Aston Villa that is so. They are like the XG confusers of the season, aren't they? Like their underlying numbers are nowhere near as good as their results. Obviously, Unai Emery continues to do an incredible job there. They still can harbour some title aspirations should the top 2 really fall apart. Like they're the ones ready to pick up the pieces. But they've only won 1 of their last 5 games, which is a bit of a concern. They play against a Wolves team that I'm pretty confident have improved quite a lot under Rob Edwards since he came in. And they have only lost 1 of their last 4 games. Now they come into some decent form. He's massively improved them defensively. Last time out against Palace wasn't great. But I think that this is an awkward game, I'd say, for Villa, despite Wolves' lower league position. And it's not quite at the stage yet where Wolves can totally give up on mounting some kind of a crazy recovery, where if they can string a 2 or 3 run of wins together, it's not all over. So yeah, I think it's an awkward one for Villa, and I think Wolves might get something out of the game, as they did in their last home game against table toppers Arsenal. Jack, why am I wrong?
Well, I actually make you right on pretty much every point you made.
Thank you very much.
I just think that Aston Villa will shade it. You mentioned right at the top of the piece about this. A market I like in this is booking points. I think that's one to attack, and I'd sell goals.
Who's on the whistle?
I actually don't know. I haven't looked at that.
Leave it with me.
You do that while I
Job of a
tell
host.
you
Yeah.
why. But you're right. I think Wolves are a lot more competitive under Rob Edwards, but they still generally fall short. And the gulf to them and the better sides is still there, although they did get that 2-2. Who is it?
Bad.
Oh no.
Mr. Pawson.
Oh.
A man who's actually lost his cards this season.
Yeah. Maybe you'll find him for this one.
Maybe.
You have no choice. But yeah, back
He
on...
did give 6 and a red in the Liverpool City game, I guess. So there's something recent. That's great. You carry on.
Yeah.
You
You
carry on.
muse over whether that's worth a buy or a sell on the booking points. Let us know at the end.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the gulf there is it's the better sides, and I think Villa, although on a tricky run, have still got that ability. And this is a big game for them, a must-win game for them, because they've got Man United and Chelsea in their next 2, and in that battle, if not for the title, then certainly for the top 4, that's going to be a huge sway. But this, therefore, is the one that you've got to say, well, we've got to go and win it, given Wolves' predicament. Still got to bear in mind how poor Wolves done across the campaign, and Villa have only lost 1 in the last 11 competitive away games, and they do tend to beat the weaker sides. They're beating all the sides at the bottom of the table when they've played them this season. They are missing their key players, but I think they've got enough about them, and the manager especially, to find a way to win a tight contest.
Dan?
Yeah, I echo that again. I mean, I might just leave you to do it with George going forward. But yeah, completely agree. I mean, Wolves have been very poor this season. I get what you're saying, that recently that's picked up, but it was a very, very low bar. They won just 1 home game in the Premier League this season, although I guess the 2-2 draw with Arsenal is probably as good as a win for them, given the disparity in quality between those two teams. Yeah, you're right, Jack. I don't think Villa are firing on all cylinders currently and have quite a few injuries to contend with, much like a lot of teams, to be fair, at this point of the season. But yeah, I'm backing them to have the quality to get the win here and to only need to win for this to cop. I think I'm pretty happy that side.
Excellent. Yeah, that's also Friday night. So clashing with Bristol City, Watford. I'll leave it to you to decide which you're going to watch. Bournemouth against Sunderland is the next Premier League game on the docket. Early kickoff on Saturday. We're looking at first match goal here, 33 to sell, 36 to buy, 34.5 the midpoint with spread X. Are we going higher or lower? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I don't really know.
That's fair enough.
Just a hunch. I kind of feel like Sunderland's attacking output is starting to wane. They are generally kind of starting to struggle a little bit. Their incredible early season form will, of course, see them safe and cosily so. And for that reason, I think they might struggle to get too close to Bournemouth. They might, as Régis Libri often does, sit relatively deep and let Bournemouth have the ball. And it could just be quite a turgid start to a game that might open up later. So not a strong hunch by any stretch, but I think this might be 0-0 after 35 minutes. Dan?
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think
Thank you,
this line is very interesting because you've got completely contrasting teams. You've got Bournemouth, who like scoring, well, I mean, everyone likes scoring, but like scoring in the first half an hour of games this season. Only Man City have scored more goals in the first half an hour of games. Coming up against Sunderland, who appear not to enjoy scoring in the first half an hour of games. They've only taken the lead in the first half hour 3 times this season, and I can't remember which team it is, should have wrote it down, but there's only one team that have conceded, that have scored fewer. Bournemouth's average time of first goal scored is 20th minute in the Premier League this season, Sunderland's 38th. So given what I just said about Sunderland, how they don't score many in the first half an hour, 38 still feels like a relatively low average. So I'm taking both of them and attacking what I would consider, well, I guess it's quite a high line, so lower seems good to me.
Wow. Jack?
Yeah, it's in that ballpark, isn't it? And I think Bournemouth are in good form, so they're going to absolutely go at this one, which I think will suit Sunderland. They'll sit deep, they'll look to counter-attack, so I think there is threat there for them. Xhaka coming back for Sunderland will help them, but they have had a dip in form. We should expect it, of course, from given how they started the season. Bournemouth games at home, it was kind of the other way around. Home games tend to be quite tight at the start of the season, and the away games were wild, and now it's kind of switched a little bit. And you look at their last 5 home games in the league, you've seen 19 goals in those, and both teams have scored in all of those as well, which again is a good sign, and obviously for us going lower, that both teams could come and provide the early goal in this one. The line 34.5. They've been lower in the last 4 at home as well. So decent record there recently. And I think they'll feel that Sunderland are there to beat and to be attacked at. So lost the last 3 in the Premier League, Sunderland, 4 of the last 5, 5 of the last 7. So that run you can see is there. Lost the last 3 away games as well, conceding 3 in each of those. So they have started to kind of creak a little bit defensively, especially when they're away from home. Got the 4th worst road record in the Premier League as well. So first half goal in 5 of their last 6 away games, and this was 3-2 in the reverse as well. So goals in that one. Could we see something similar? Don't know, but I fancy Bournemouth to probably break the deadlock early in this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so. Leeds hosting Man City. Next up, huge game this. Of course, Manchester City in their bid to prize the title out of Arsenal's grip in both teams' hands.
It is exciting.
Either team wins all their games, they win, because they can't both.
It's cool, that, isn't it?
To play each other. Sporting Index have the line at 3 to sell, 3.2 to buy for the total goal. So 3.1 is the midpoint. So selling here is 3 or fewer goals, but buying or higher is 4 or more. 3, 2, 1. Oh, lads.
You're on again, I know. Well, you said you hate football, so we're against you now.
Well, you both just about the massive odds against shot here, haven't you?
Yep.
That may be the case.
Over 3.5 goals. Firstly, more impressed with Leeds at the moment defensively. I think in the last couple of months really, they've been much improved. City, Haaland still isn't back to his former self. It's a tough game for City to go and win. Just doesn't really seem overly goalsy in my view. So that's why I'm going lower. Dan, why are you going higher?
There's been quite a lot of goals when these two teams have played each other.
Not again.
The 74 clash was quite
Not again.
Loads of goals. 3-2 last time out. That's recent enough for it to be relevant, I think. And City, score quite a lot of goals, right? They're the league's top scorers. Coming up against the Leeds defence, which has only conceded more than West Ham, Wolves and Burnley. So that's a bit of a mismatch there. You mentioned Haaland. Okay, he might be in bad form, but you're backing him to score if he gets sort of quite a few chances against Leeds. I just think City are going to score quite a few here. But Leeds have been getting on the score sheet themselves and against good opposition in this league. Okay, they lost 4-0 to Arsenal, which is fine because this line would cop in that respect. But both teams to score has landed in all of their other games in the last 7 across all competitions. So if Leeds can get on the score sheet, then I'll be feeling pretty confident about hitting this line. There's a higher for me.
Chat.
Yeah, this is an interesting game for me because, again, we've got that midweek round of fixtures coming up, and Leeds have got Sunderland at home, which obviously they'll earmark as certainly an opportunity for a massive 3 points for them. How do they approach this game? That was my conundrum on it, and I think they might well have a bit of a free swing at it. They obviously did in the reverse, where they went for it, and we've seen goals in their games against the kind of top opposition in the league this season. At home, Arsenal, there was 4 goals in it. Chelsea and Liverpool, both the lines went higher than this, and even Villa saw 3, so it'd be a marginal defeat. But obviously one with goals in it, with both teams contributing as well. And I just think City are looking very sharp going forward with an embarrassment of riches in those areas. Haaland, isn't quite at it, but you always will be ready for him when he's not quite at it to explode and do something. Obviously, this is quite a big game for him as well, given his affiliation with Leeds. But I just feel that I can't see there being much downside with potential a lot of upside. So I'm happy to take the higher line.
Lovely stuff. 2 more games on the card before we get to our naps. Manchester United hosting Crystal Palace. Next up, total goal minutes is the market here. 153 to sell, 163 to buy. This is the total cumulative minutes in which goals are scored within the game. 158 is the midpoint. Are we going higher or lower here? 3, 2, 1. All in agreement.
Look at that.
There we are.
Tell us why.
Well, I think it's actually quite funny, isn't it? Because the last 2 times we spoke about Man United, I've talked about how many shots they have, how all of the attacking stats are looking really good for Man United.
But
all still true. But I watched the game against Everton, and the thing that stood out to me most in that game was how they look. Be careful what I say here. They look to have improved defensively. And it deserves a gasp. But I think what Carrick has tried to do, bar the 2 massive games that he had at the start against Arsenal and City, which is just a case of, guys, go and do your best to try and get results, which they did, is try and improve Man United at the back. Because since, even with Amorim, as we mentioned, United's attacking is all fine. But against Everton, United shut up shop quite nicely. Caught Everton on the break, scored a lovely goal and won 1-0. Appreciate that that's probably more of a reflection of how United will set up away from home, and this is obviously a home game. But then I've got the recent record between these two teams to back me up that this will be a low scorer. Under 2.5 goals in all of Man United's last 3 Premier League games, and in the games that they've played against Palace recently, 2-1 in the reverse, which made up 1-5-3, 2-0 on the time prior to that, also made up 1-5-3. Wow. Both of which are lower than this line, indeed. And then a 0-0. So all of the last 3 have gone under this line. So let's hope they make it 4.
Jack?
Superb. I think this is a game where both sides prefer the other team to have the ball, and that's obviously not going to be the case here. I think the onus will be on Manchester United. I think Palace will be happy to sit in deep. And I therefore see a bit of a similar trend to that Everton game that you then talked about, which was a bit of a turgid watch, to be honest. And then just watching Everton try and rain corners in under the crossbar was a little bit frustrating as well. But and I think that also is an element that Man United look a lot more solid with what appears to be a dependable goalkeeper. Not so many mistakes being made, as we're tempting fate here, sorry, United fans. But I think they look a lot more solid, certainly. And I just think Palace at the moment are in turmoil. It's a bit toxic there. I think as far as the league campaign's concerned, they can't wait for it to end, really. Be safe and let's go and rebuild. And I think they're struggling going forward to create chances, score goals. They're missing some obviously key players, mainly from sales and also through injury as well. And therefore, I don't see this being much of a goal fest. So I'm happy to go lower.
Yeah, I'm totally with you both on your reasons. I think the United game against Everton was relatively turgid. Palace are soul searching at the moment. They've got a tricky European tie on Thursday night as well, which won't help them here.
That's true.
I think this is a game that could be a relatively cosy United win 0 against the Palace side, who probably need to pick up some points to stop themselves from getting involved in an area of the table where they don't want to. Game of the weekend is Arsenal-Chelsea for the 4th time in about 4 months, because they've just played the 2-legged affair in the Carabao Cup. Arsenal favourites over Chelsea in the supremacy market, 0.9 to sell, 1.1 to buy. So 1 is the midpoint, higher therefore meaning you need Arsenal to cover the -1, lower being a draw or a Chelsea win. 1 being a push. 3, 2, 1. You think you're going to do it? They're going to stuff them?
Nah, to be honest, I don't. But getting a push at 1 just feels like a free hit, to be honest, because I think it's more likely that Arsenal do what they did against Spurs and win by more than 1 than it is that they lose or draw. So I've had to take that on. You mentioned that Arsenal have played Chelsea quite a lot. They've done pretty well in those games. And they've beaten Chelsea in all 3 of their last home games to 0. So that bodes quite nicely for this line. Just not overly convinced with Chelsea. I mean, really this season. I know they've won their last 2 away games, but I haven't seen enough there for me to think that they might go to the best team probably in Europe and get a result. It's also a battle of 2 of the league's best defences, which, probably ends in a low scorer, which I think Arsenal will edge. So, I'm taking on the push, really, and hoping that they win by more than 1, but I think a 1-goal win is probably the most likely here. So we can all be happy or shake hands at that and move on.
Yeah, it's just, I always basically think I kind of go the other way, where having 1 as a push, I think Arsenal winning this in a kind of a tight game because of the derby nature of it, because, for Chelsea, it's a massive game for them in order to try and stop Arsenal winning the league. You speak to any Chelsea fan about how important that is to them, and they will tell you, this is a huge game for Chelsea in terms of trying to stop that. I think it's going to be chaotic. I think it's going to be pretty, high frenzy in terms of the way it looks. And, Arsenal, all the pressure's on them to produce here, because they know that if they slip up at the moment, City are right there. And they'll know what's happened in the City game, obviously. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if Chelsea can get something out of the game. Jack?
Yeah, I think the Chelsea approach to this, which will be to have a go, is the right one against Arsenal, who I think, despite that very convincing win against a very poor Tottenham side, I think the nerves are still going to be there, and I think Chelsea can exploit that with what they have in the talent they've got going forward. So this could turn into a shootout, and in which case Chelsea have got a fantastic opportunity of coming out on top in that respect. And I just think we're getting a bit of a plethora of results on side here with Chelsea, and the draw obviously as well, and even a push with a 1-0 or a single goal Arsenal victory. So I'm happy to take it. And we know on their day, Chelsea can beat any side in the world. They've obviously proved that quite recently. So I think that, I like what Rossini's done to a certain degree at Chelsea and what he's got certain players doing there. So still got those risks at the back. But I think if this becomes a bit of a shootout and Chelsea's front foot approach, I think they could actually cause a few nerves to reverberate around the Emirates and then can take advantage and come away with a positive result.
Yeah, agreed. Nap time, our 3 best bets of the week. Dan, what is yours?
I'm not going for corners this week, even though it did win last week. Just thought I'd get that in there. Well done me. I'm going back to another all-London affair, not the one we just spoke about, but I'm going for Fulham versus Tottenham. Quite surprised at this line, actually. 2.95 to buy goals in Fulham versus Tottenham. Jack just mentioned it there. Spurs are pretty poor, conceding goals pretty freely. They've conceded at least 2 goals in each of their last 7 in the Premier League, which is not a great stat. And Fulham games have seen over 2.5 goals in their last 5. 2-1 in the reverse fixture between these two. I just think needing 3 to win this seems quite achievable. 2.95 is pretty low for a Premier League game, so I'm taking it on. Buy of goals.
Jack?
Yeah, there's quite a lot I like this week. It's a bit of a smorgasbord of choice. So I've gone with the goal markets recently and total goal markets and that, but it's always on my mind to switch things up a little bit. So I've gone with a game with the side that's close to my heart, and that is Leicester versus Norwich. And I think this is a perfect mix of styles for us to see a swift start to the game. And there's a strong record of early goals from both these sides. Gary Rowett's obviously only been in charge for 2 games at Leicester, but hasn't altered that kind of trend. Goal after 3 minutes in a 2-2 draw at Stoke, and then 18 minutes in a very creditable, decent 1-1 draw at Middlesbrough. Leicester still in the relegation zone, 1 point behind West Brom, who themselves obviously have a massive game this weekend. They need to win games, simple as that. And Norwich 8 points clear now after the victory over Sheffield Wednesday in midweek, back on the winning train there. And they've been very front foot under Philippe Clement, but also in the last couple of games they've been quite slow starters, or defensively they've made mistakes. So that could be punished by Leicester. So that's a nice double-edged sword there. Leicester, 8 of the last 9 home league games have seen lower, 8 goals in the opening 10 minutes across those games as well, which is an incredible stat. Average time of the first goal in those games is 12.5 minutes. So that is a lot lower than what we need here. The midpoint, by the way, is 34.5. I'm selling it. Going lower than that for time of the first match goal. Norwich under Clement, average time of first goal on the road is 26.4, with 6 of 9 going lower, including all of the last 4.
Good stuff. I'm repeating. I had a bit of a torrid time in the North London derby. Bookings didn't go my way, so I'm doing it again. Arsenal, Chelsea. As I said, I think this is going to be a game where we'll see lots of action in terms of cards. If you look at their recent league fixtures against each other earlier on this season in a 1-1 draw at Stamford Bridge, the cross bookings market made up 35 on one side and 60 on the other, so 2,100. Made up 900 in one of last season's games and 800 in another. So we see pretty consistently that this goes quite wild. These are 2 teams that do not like each other and they don't have great disciplinary records. And the buy price is 555, the sell price is 475. So what does that make it? 525 midpoint? 515 midpoint. You can work it out later. Darren England on the whistle. He is not the most card happy. But last season, Fulham Villa had 7 yellows and 2 reds. United against Ipswich had 8 yellows and a red. So he's not Watford Blackburn in the Championship had 9 yellows. So he can get going when he gets going. I think with the pressure that's on here, I'm very surprised to see the line as low as it is. Buying cross bookings, so Team A versus Team B booking points is where I'm playing this one. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this week's episode of Higher or Lower. If you haven't got a SpreadX or Sporting Index account already, click in the link in the show description to sign up for one. There's a new customer offer there, but please do read up on the risks of spread betting. And remember that losses can exceed your initial deposit. Check out oddschecker for your fixed odds betting needs. Cheltenham Festival just around the corner, so across oddschecker, SpreadX, Sporting Index, loads on there to keep you busy. WhoScored.com don't have any help with Cheltenham, but they do have help with all your football betting too. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
And you. We'll see you again next week. But in the meantime, please ensure that you're gambling responsibly.